Hello, hello, good people. Welcome,
Oh,
welcome, welcome. Today, I have the distinct honor of talking to Mr. Terrence Riggins, actor, writer, uh, playwright, all around marvelous human being. Um,
and I have the honor of talking to Eric Ray, motivator, innovator, and an all-around wonderful human being.
thank you, Terrence. Um, Man, I'm so glad you're here. It's really exciting to get to talk to you about your art. You and I have a relationship outside of this, so we get to hang out. But usually we're talking about other things, and it's rare that we get to talk about art. So I'm particularly excited about this today. But I wonder, Terrence, if you could just, I just kind of want to give you some space to kind of introduce yourself the way you feel, the way you want to be known.
uh, uh, I am an intentional expression of a wondrous universe. I belong here, and I belong well.
Yeah.
That's first and foremost. Um, yeah, I'm an actor. I discovered acting. I discovered that acting was it.
Mm.
I was compelled toward the theater at a young age, and from that point forward, uh, the universe affirmed that compellation. And I fought it. I fought life. I thought art. I thought socialization.
Mm.
I fought a lot of things. And always, even in the depth of despair and coming out of a lot of personal challenges, the universe said, okay,
Mm.
this is what you were compelled to do. You
Yeah,
want to try it again?
it
And
was.
that's been kind of my journey,
Yeah.
you know. And yeah, the universe reminding me what I had determined to be true for me,
Hmm.
and my calling. If you want to, use that. I don't know another term right now.
Hmm.
Other than yeah, like my whole being
Yeah.
was invested in the theater. Um, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So I've heard you introduce yourself a few times. I was really intentional about wanting you to introduce yourself here because I really love the way that you do that. I really love that you start from this huge place, the universe. And I am a wondrous expression of the universe, and I just love the thought of that. I love the what that means for a person. And so I guess I'll just ask because I have a sense for how it makes me feel, but I wonder about like where did you like how did you come to that particular
Oh boy. Oh
how
boy.
did you come to that particular understanding
I
in terms
knew
of
it. I knew
yeah.
it. It always, I think the conversation for me always leads back to, you know, those like inner kind of struggles to some of I don't even want to characterize it in terms of color and shade, because I think that's all up, those constructs about, be, careful of the things that you can't see. And environments don't allow us to like visualize things because you never know what's lurking, like black and white. So I try to avoid like using those terms and continuing that kind of narrative and those constructs about just those characteristics and elements and language and stuff. But it's kind of hard to avoid it because that's all I got is English. And the dictionaries, and the rules, and you gotta follow the rules, man. Or you can't communicate, or people gonna wonder what the hell are you talking about, but I just that question, I have to reveal some things about myself now. So and then it's like, if I reveal some things about myself, then am I risking the desire, fulfilling the desire to be included, to move out of the shadows of marginalization and failure, and outcast and alienated and derelict, shunned in awe, and into mainstream society and embraced. So I think that's what we do. We don't want to reveal. Sometimes we hide, sometimes we avoid saying things and revealing things about ourselves that are anything other than like, I accomplished. I'm nice. I'm good. I did it the right way. I'm strong. But I've been weak. I've been scared. I've failed. And it came out of my greatest failure. At a point in my life when I was at a crossroads. I think one of the greatest existential crossroads that a human being can be in. One of them. There are few. I think there are a few major ones. But and because we know that all famous expression of an existential dilemma, as stated by one of Shakespeare's most, aggrieved characters in Hamlet, it was to be or not to be.
Literally.
And how to be and not to be. So those are the questions that I had time to ask myself when I was under lock and key.
So what? And this piece that you're describing, right? Like, it's this thing that like we play out all the time. We play this out every day, numerous times a day. And as I'm hearing you talk, I'm thinking about like social media, sort of culture, right? That does this very careful cultivation and culling of a person's existence, of a person's life. And we show some things, but we don't show other things. And it's easy to get this kind of false sense of who people actually are. And so like applying that to a much more kind of like analog world where we do this thing every day. We say like, how are you? Who are you? Like, we have these kinds of chance meetings and introductions where we're in a position to kind of say something about ourselves to somebody else. But once it leaves our lips, we don't have any control over it anymore.
No.
And so being like this level of careful, that I hear in this description, this introduction, is such a powerful reminder of our, I mean, for me, it's what I hear is like fullness, like bringing your full self to every interaction is what it feels like to me.
I have to face it. You know, that
Yeah.
was one thing that I realized, that I had to look into the face and into that. I don't know why I wanted to say antimatter of my very, very difficult experiences,
Mm.
um, and and tragic experiences,
Yeah.
and devastating experiences. I had to look at the experience and examine it, and then examine me.
Mm.
Like, why did I do that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did I fail so miserably? Like, what am I not getting
Mm. Mm.
about this experience that we call life? Like, who is to blame? You know, what ideas do I have that support my wellness? And what ideas do I have, even though they may be very popular,
Yeah.
may not support my wellness? And without being like overly critical, or I say, because it's hard not to be examining, it's hard to not to be critical while we're examining
Sure.
what's going on. But
Mm-hmm.
to judge folks and devalue folks because of the conclusions that we draw and the critical conclusions that we draw, that's another thing. To separate myself from them and to cast them out, because I'm prone to do that too. What the hell they doing?
Right.
Why the hell they doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Why are they believing that?
Yeah.
Are they crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Like, instead of like with empathy, like understanding, well, wait a minute. Damn. I think like that, even it may be a small moment,
Mm-hmm.
a
Yeah.
small indication, or something that seems very minute, but really examine the commonality and say, well, damn, I'm kind of resentful. I'm kind of hateful.
Mm.
I'm judgmental. I'm biased in certain ways.
Yeah.
I'm this and that. But I think that's what the consciousness is about, because we have fundamental, I think, and basic drives and perceptions and all, but we're evolving as human beings, and some in a way that others aren't.
Mm-hmm.
Like in terms of empathy and consciousness.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing to make somebody do, evolve.
Yeah. Despite some of my best
Now,
efforts, man. Oh, come on.
stop hating.
Right.
Stop killing each other.
Yeah.
Care more. Care more.
Now. Yeah. Right.
Now.
Now.
You
Yeah.
know, it's
Yeah.
it's a trick bag, man. And like,
Unfortunately.
for me, theater was a way to explore my life, my being, in a safe environment. When I really think about it, as a kid,
Yeah.
it was safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a theater. It was a place that I could emote, discover my emotions, discover my inner being behind someone else. So maybe
Yeah.
that's where I began to recognize, and other people began to recognize, that this kid is doing something,
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
of why I was doing it. Maybe, and this is still, I'm still discovering, I'm still understanding,
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it was like, I was really being me in the body of a character, and I was being
Mm-hmm.
honest and authentic.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm.
I wasn't
It's
doing it
powerful.
because I wasn't, and I don't, and I don't do it because of the glory. I I I I I I ran from the glory. Even in high school, I remember doing
Mm.
plays at Duke Ellington School of the Arts.
Mm.
I would do a play, and then afterwards there'd be this reception, and then it's like, you know, and I was figured prominently in the particular plays, and then there would be a reception afterwards, you know, and folks would get together, and then I leave out the dressing room, out, skirt out the back door, and go into the night and get on the bus home.
Yeah.
You know, and that's another thing that's problematic because I needed to face that too. That's not necessarily honorable. It might
Mm.
like say, okay, there's some humility in there, but there's also some fear in that too.
Sure. Yeah.
You
Mm.
know, so it's something that I had to face. So just that's the whole thing about
Yeah.
the journey and the theater. Let's get to the theater and the writing now that it comes out of and what I'm working on now. And I think we're gonna be going into, I'm working with someone who I think we're going to be going into a theater
Mm.
and get it on its feet, you know, and
Yeah.
start to explore. Because
Yeah.
I'm taking, I'm in a certificate writing, playwriting program at the directors, I mean, the Dramatists Guild of Institute. And that was something that I didn't know that I would ever do again.
Mm.
Go to school,
Yeah.
and learn something collectively and allow someone to guide me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was resistant to that, you
Sure.
know, for a period of time. But what I'm writing now is I'm writing about my experiences. And really right now I don't want to do anybody else's play.
Mm.
I don't want to do anybody else's work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great. I've done a lot of other people's stuff,
Sure.
but it's like I'm compelled to create work out of my
From your
experience.
experience.
And for me, that's the most meaningful to me. And I think that's the best way that I can enrich my community
Mm.
and give my community something that is authentic
Yeah.
to, you know, from me and of me.
It's such a gift, Terrence. It really, really, really is. And like, you know, the power of storytelling is absolutely incredible. You know, I think um, when you think about like human history, right? The written word is actually very young. The written word has only been around, I don't know, a couple of thousands of years? I don't even think it's that long. Hasn't been around that long.
Oh yeah,
People have been around much longer than that, right? And the way that we have learned has been through story. It's been through this sort of like, I have experienced this thing, I know this thing, I have knowledge of this thing, and I'm going to impart that knowledge on you through this story, through this parable, through this play, this experience. And so, you know, hearing you talk about that and knowing the little bit that I know about your backstory is just like having this well that is like wanting to kind of give of itself, and in that we get the gift of your experience. We get the gift of the stories that you weave. um I want to, if I can, just play this quick reel so the folks can get a
okay.
little taste of not so much your writing, because this stuff is mostly other folks' work,
Yeah,
right?
all of it. Yeah, it's
Okay, all right. But this is Terrence at work. Um, oh, looks like Gina, can I have share privileges?
Yes, give me just 1 second.
You got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's a reel that was suggested, or I guess the industry requires a reel. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was something that I put together for, the industry.
Okay. I hear. I hear the way you hear the way you say that. It's like the industry. All right, here we go.
Will you go with me?
No, I don't think so.
What do you mean you don't think so?
Well, first off, you need a lift? They carjacked me, threw me in the trunk, and left me for dead.
I know, but come on.
Absolutely not. There is no way. Sit down. Where's your hat? Why am I here? I'm here because of a friend. The kidnapping, perhaps it was just a misunderstanding on my part. Country that sends brown boys to braid little bitty brown babies in the blood of our greed is headed for crossroads of conscience.
You heard what I said?
Hurt villages set ablaze by our damning arrogance. Our young are flown back home in star-strangled coffins, unwashable our hands as we stand at the stone-cold gates of heaven, wondering why our God will not let us in. And why won't he? She let us in, my sweet America, because America is going to hell. Cast down like Lucifer in the pit to burn, baby, burn.
It's an end times convention, like Comic-Con, but for prophecy nuts. We're in the last days.
That's what we've been hearing.
Oh, no, I meant the convention. It ends tomorrow. Oh, that guy you asked about, Burwell? He had a booth here.
These people can get pretty in your face about what they believe. Yeah, I mean, I'm a Christian, but these guys are kind of extreme. It's like they can't wait for Jesus to come back and blow up the planet.
I have to.
Yeah, Spider. I play piano for the review.
Anime Bullock.
Anna. That's a pretty name, little girl.
He's back. That's right, Ike Turner and the Kings of Rhythm.
Yeah, come in.
Just wanted to let you know he's got about 5 minutes.
Yep.
What is that?
It's the puffy shirt.
Okay, let's go. Is that what you're wearing?
Yeah.
That's fantastic, Terrence.
Great.
That
And
I didn't know you were in the flouncy shirt episode.
Yeah. I was one of
That has its whole lore. That
the
episode.
puffy shirt, yeah, it does. At the same time, George was doing the hand modeling. I think that was the same episode. So, and it's really interesting because if I'm in one like on track of a through line, just in terms of like if I was stuck in the grief of having been like almost like there, like and then not, and then I could have wallowed in that failure.
Yeah.
For a lifetime. I could have died with regret.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I could have been a contender.
I was on the flouncy shirt episode,
You
and
know, and what's love got to do with it?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
at the time, I was thinking, and other folks were thinking, like, T about to come up.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And when I look at it, and it's not necessarily how do we come to accept the things of our lives, the events of our lives, the
ebb and flow. There's a kind of ebb and flow of that. So yeah. So how did you're in this moment, you're in this period, because that seemed like there was a period of time in there.
That
just based on the timing.
I was hidden. I was
but
that came out of another period. I dropped out of college, because of drug addiction is a big part of my story. I dropped out of college on a full scholarship. To and went to LA.
Yeah.
And discovered became homeless out there. And I discovered smoking cocaine. When it was like all the rage, and it took me out. So at 20, I was on Skid Row.
Yeah.
From 20 to 24, I was on Skid Row and in jail and in rehabs and in psych hospitals because I had episodes.
Yeah.
And then I got clean, and my sister came to visit me in jail one day, and she bought the NA Basic text, and she was telling me, little brother, there's a way for you to stop. There's a way for us to stop, because she struggled as well. So after I got out, I went into a drug rehab, which was a year program. So I'm like 25, I'm 24, about to turn 25, going to this, rehab. And it was a social model. So they broke you down.
Okay.
There was humiliation.
Wow.
There was alienation. There were these psychological, ways that they thought. And for a lot of folks, it helped a lot of folks. Because it was like based on these old social models, like these prison reform things, and these programs where they were dealing with prisoners, so they had to be hardcore because they were hardcore.
Yeah.
So they had hardcore tactics to deal with these, and I just don't think it always worked. But obviously it did. They were trying to break me.
Yeah.
They were trying to break us down. And some folks, were cool with it. Some folks weren't. A lot of folks got clean out of that though.
Yeah.
And didn't die. And I got clean out of that. And I got a job. I was there for a year, progressed through the phases to second, third, fourth, fifth phase. Got a job, got to stay in a phase 4 house. You had to save money. Got a car, and then I was like, and then it was like I was working in this place. I got my own place. And it was like, for the first time, it's like, wow. And then I started taking acting classes again because that was my dream.
Yeah.
So coming out of that, and then I got an agent, and then all of that, and then all of that stuff happened as a result of me getting clean. So,
so that's a big, it's like a big, difference. Like it's one thing to sort of be here and then end up here. It's another thing to be here and then end up out here. That distance, hearing you say going from dealing with this addiction to then you're standing next to Seinfeld
and being on a soap opera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a wide gap.
Right. It's a wide gap to us, but in terms of how the universe works, it may not be as wide a gap as we see it because we're thinking socially.
Interesting. Yeah.
You know, I'm down here socially, now I'm up here socially.
Right.
You know, or am I? What's going on in the inside? You know, how wide is the gap, you know, in the inside? Like, you know, but if we measure it socially, then you know, and sometimes that's what we see predominantly from a social point of view.
Most times,
You know, most times. So, but yeah, it was a gap. However, as things started to progress, and obviously there was something missing because that wasn't enough to sustain me. You know, obviously there was something missing. So in a way, but what I come to realize, it wasn't supposed to happen. It's happening as it's supposed to happen. If that happens, there's a reason. If I get if I do what's love got to do with it and this and that, and I didn't have things in place to support me through. I didn't build a support mechanism. I had people that loved me. I had families who were all over the United States who loved me, but there was really nobody there. And not that there weren't people willing to support me, but I didn't know how to reach out. I didn't know how to create that look. Things are starting to happen for me, and I need somebody because a lot of the most eventful and trying and hard moments in my life, I had to generally go through them alone. So this was a wonderful moment in my life, and I just was self-contained. You know, so there were reasons that my career didn't take off, and you know, it just wasn't supposed to happen. And it was really interesting as I was journeying, I would see folks. I was in prison the last and final time. And I didn't have a television, and other folks had a television. It was like a dorm. So you could see folks' television as you move through the dorm. And the areas where sleeping areas were open and all. And there was a guy who had a television and was watching it. I was moving through the day room, and it was Wendy Williams. And she was interviewing. She says, "Oh, we got a guest, and he's got a book, and we're going to talk about his book and this and that. And it's Hill Harper, right?" And Hill Harper and I, you know, were in LA, and we were part of the same acting, you know, classes. And he was doing a reading of a play that I was writing at the time and stuff like that. And then he says, and then she picked up the name of his book. Name of his book was Letters to an Incarcerated Brother. And I said, "Thanks for the visitation, brother." It was like, it was like those kind of moments, instead of processing it as Hill Harper done had shows and he's in movies and the life that he was living and he got it going on, instead of looking at it as envy, I look at it as irony. You know, and learn the lesson from that. And I said, "Wow, ain't that something?" That's cool. Right on, Hill, because I have to accept the laws of nature. He earned that, and obviously I earned this. So if I want to earn something different, I got to do something different. You know, so yeah.
Guys, it's like every time you talk, Terrence, it's so dense. It's so thick. It's wonderful, and I love it. I can listen to you talk forever. But I should ask you some questions. So So let me ask you this. What was the time when you, or was there a time when you decided that this was your art? Acting, writing, like, what did it pick you? Did you pick it? Was there a moment? Was it a process? Like, what was the realization that this here is my lane?
At a young age, I remember like being really like performative, you know, dressing up, doing this, doing that, you know, mimicking folks and all. When the idea, my mother took us to plays in LA. I remember one of the, I remember seeing Marcel in performances. And then I remember seeing Paula Kelly in Don't Bother Me, I Can't Cope. Those are the most two memorable performances. And then as I grew, I remember the first theater, when I was in a private school in Massachusetts for a little bit, when I was like 12, 13. And I had auditioned for a play, and I got the part, but then I got kicked out not too long after that, right? So yeah, just bear with me. Bear with me. There was a lot of that. There was a lot. I was a problem, and that was one of the hardest things for me, realizations that I had. Like and I'm going to get back to that, but when my mom died, and I was in prison, and I had the program for her. Somebody Xeroxed it. I think it was my brother and my aunt had Xeroxed it and sent it to me because I wasn't able to go. And I just started to look at the pictures on it, some of the pictures I had never seen before. Yeah. And then I was reading about my mom, this human being, you know, this woman, Sharita Hamilton Riggins, who I was like discovering for the first time. And I was like being really like she wasn't my mom anymore. She was like this person, you know, separate from me, yeah, who had dreams, who had hopes. And then I realized how much problems I caused her, how much sadness, how much I disrupted her life, how I made it hard. You know, so yeah. So just thinking about, so that I just wanted to go back and, you know, just that touched on something when I thought about all the expirations, all of the incarcerations, all of the disappearances and the dereliction and all of that, and how heavy it is on the heart of our parents. But I was, so I got expelled from school, kicked out, and I went to go stay with my father. And my father wasn't like, he wasn't, you know, attentive. He wasn't, he'd go to work and he'd go into his room and he'd close the door, and that was it. And he might say, hey, you might have dinner, maybe, you know, and together. And then, so on the weekends, and I was in DC on like Constitution, and they managed the apartment building that we were living in. So I would just go out into the city. You know, I did explore the world in small, ways. I used to go out, and I discovered magic. I went to this magic shop downtown, Al's Magic Shop, and I would go in there all the time, regularly, until they were like, hey kid, you wanna sweep up? They let me sweep up, and then they would say, hey kid, let me show you this trick, and they would teach me tricks, and then I was around the corner, on the other side of the counter, demonstrating tricks, like to people, and and everything, and so anyway, so when I was out there, I went by this theater called Folger Theater, right? And it's a Shakespearean theater. It's they have like a replica of Stratford on Avon inside their theater. It's run by the Amherst, and they have archives. They have first folios of Shakespearean plays, all that stuff. Really, really prestigious, really scholarly. And I was going by, and they were working on a play, and I went in, and I asked if I could be a part of that play, and they were like, "I'm just a 13-year-old kid," and they said, "Oh, well, why don't you go across the street to the administrative office and talk to them?" And I did that, and I went in, and the administrative assistant was sitting there, and and I let her know what my business was. And she directed me she made a phone call, and she directed me to the back, and I met John Neville Andrews, who was the artistic director at the time. So I'm 13 years old. He's like talking to me, and then he says, I love your spirit. He says, but these are older folks, and you're kind of young now for this theater company, She's professional. He gave me 2 tickets to the play, and he says, just keep doing what you're doing, kid. Right? 13 years old. So then I was journeying around, and I found a church, a big church.
Wait, hold on. Did you go see the play?
Yeah, it was called Whose Life Is It Anyway? I think my stepmother went with me.
That's great.
So there was a big theater, I think a big church. I'm not sure if it was St. Mark's, and there was a big notice on the door. And I'm walking around. This is at nighttime. I'm like, it says little, entranceway, and there was a big wooden door, and they had all this paper on there, and then there was a notice, auditions for play, and the play called Whose Life Is It Anyway? I got the number. I think I might have even taken the notice down, and I went home and I called. I got an audition, and I got a part in that play.
Wow.
Then in high school, so anyway, got a part in that play, and then I went to middle school, Stewart Junior High, middle school, and I auditioned for A Christmas Carol, and I got the part of Scrooge. There was this girl named Paulette that, oh my God, Paulette, I wanted to do magic for her, because I would walk around the lunchroom with my magic case doing magic for people at the lunch table, and the bullies would have it.
I didn't know you two. I gotta see one of these tricks, Terrence.
And then, no. So I was just this weird black kid.
Yeah.
I'd had mucklucks on because I lived in Alaska, purple pants with goggles, ski goggles, and doing magic, playing Scrooge, and it was like, so one day I'm walking home, and this is in my solo play that I'm writing, that I'm going to start, going on, standing up on the stage, working it out. Got a second draft. So I was walking home one after school, and then these 2 dudes just like run up on me. They call them block boys then. That's what the term was in DC, block boys.
Yeah.
So they came up and they accosted me, and it was like, you know, I wasn't a little scrub now. I mean, like, you know, I had some fight, remember? I mean, you know, I like, you know, I had some skills.
You held
You
your
know,
own.
I might have been a nerd, but no. Just I was letting nobody like, you know, take advantage of me. So I knew what was about to happen. I could feel it because they weren't talking nice. They didn't say you did a good job at school.
Right.
They didn't ask for my autograph.
No. They weren't coming. They weren't coming with the honey. They were coming with the vinegar.
I must have upstaged them like on the school stage, and it's like they wasn't having that.
They didn't like that. Yeah. Right.
So I grabbed one, and then we start tussling, and so it was madness. And then all of a sudden, Paulette comes running around the corner, and she's like, "Stop!
Wow!
Stop!" And she knew to get guys because they all lived in the same community. Stop! And then she said, whoever their names were, leave him alone. He did good in the play.
There it is. There it is.
That's it.
There it is. My word. Do you know how often I hear this? Not that same story, but it's that moment that is so tender and fledgling, and then somebody comes by and just says, way to go, attaboy, that's cool, I like that, I love when you do this. That is so incredibly impactful. And in the moment, like, if you think about this, right, like, she came around because she saw something and she was responding to a moment. And this thing was inside of her. And maybe she meant it, maybe she didn't, it doesn't even matter. But that spoken word of kindness, right at that moment. And here we are, decades later, sitting and talking about that moment. And it just really brings home, like, you don't know the kind of impact that you can have, the impact on both sides of both a kindness or not.
Yeah.
And the way that reverberates in a life. And a lot of times without any idea, like
I didn't know. I wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
Until she told me, until she said it, until she made that statement.
Right.
So acting didn't get me the girl, but it sure saved my ass.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why I go to it again and again, coming out of those moments in my life when I don't know whether I'm going to live or die, or whether I care completely or not. It's like I can't help it, you know, and I don't think that I'm forcing it. Now, if I don't do anything about it, if I say that it's acting and writing and I don't follow through and there's no volition there, and I don't create work, then is it really? You know?
Right.
Or if it is, then what's standing in my way?
Exactly.
You know? And that's what I, over these years of having, you know, returned to, you know, a clear state of mind and body and free from active addiction, I, by degree, have had to remove the barriers, you know, to fulfilling that.
Yeah.
You know, writing, like the classes now, you know, reaching out to people. You know, I'm finishing up another class, you know, and it's a 40 unit, you know, certificate program. And it's like, but the way that I opened myself up to that experience, to that work, to that responsibility, to my craft,
To yourself, yeah.
and to myself.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I dropped out of college.
Mm.
Everything from then till now, up until this moment, I did a little edX. I don't know if you ever heard of edX.
No.
edX is like classes from all over the country, different universities have these, micro courses and stuff. So I did one last year, I think, a short little course, but I had to do some writing and some reading and peer stuff. And so it was like, what? And it's like, it's just been a natural progression.
Yeah.
But get out of my way, slowly but surely. The thing that compels me most, my calling will lead me, to, and I just gotta stay clean. And it's not a big issue. It's not hard. Having gone through what I've gone through, I'm not white knuckling it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't go by a liquor store or I don't see folks, because I know behaviors. I know when somebody's doing drugs and probably what drugs they're doing. And so I see that through, along my journey, but I'm like, I'm allergic to it.
I'm good. I'm good.
I don't judge anybody else on whatever they do, because
everybody's on their own journey.
I'm not saying drugs are bad for everybody and in every situation. Say they're bad for my well-being.
Yeah.
My well-being, So
yeah.
But once I, in this state, it's what I have now, and what I'm totally grateful for is community. I can engage with others.
Yeah. I
can talk to people regularly. I can talk about the stuff that I'm going through. I can support people. People can call me. Yeah. I'm developing a community that I had, because I never want to diminish. See, they weren't there for me when I was at my, when I needed them. When I was in Hollywood, wasn't nobody there for me.
Yeah.
Like, I was all alone.
Right.
And it was like, that's bullshit, T. That's bullshit, man.
Yeah.
They were there. People loved you. You just couldn't reach out, man. You didn't know how. It wasn't your nature. Yeah. So look at that. So that's why I think one of my saving graces is that if I can, identify it for myself, is that I'm not a big blamer. I don't like, and as a kid, maybe that kind of like took, it wasn't necessarily as effective, not blaming other people, but blaming myself. Always feeling shame about shit that I didn't really like. I shouldn't be feeling shame for this. When I look back on it, I shouldn't have been feeling shame for that. I should have had to apologize for that. I shouldn't somebody should have said, hey, they should have been to the adults. They should have been conscious, and they should have put things straight. But that's what I did. I carried a lot of shame and guilt with me, and I always generally blame myself or look within for things that don't go, for me, but against me. Yeah. But I'm glad that I have perspective on that. But also, I think it was probably my saving grace. You know, it didn't really jade me. I don't feel jaded at 56. You know, I still have this hopefulness, you know, and this belief that things, and if I just stay healthy, then I got some more years. And if I stay, you know, clear and conscious and energized and thoughtful, you know, then, you know, I got some time to do some shit. It ain't over.
You got plenty of time, Terrence. You're just getting started, good brother. You're just getting started. Hey, listen, man. Before we go, I want to well, first just thank you. I deeply appreciate you coming on here and sharing. Also just want to appreciate very specifically your vulnerability here and your willingness to sort of invite us in to that wonderful brain of yours. So I'm just deeply grateful, and I appreciate you. I love you deeply. I appreciate the work you're doing in the world. I appreciate the work you're doing on yourself, because I think I just find it inspiring. It makes me want to push harder and to continue to pursue the things that light me up the way that I see that this lights you up. And not about the glory, but for the craft of the thing.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I appreciate that the universe revealed you, or you came into my life on you know, and we share, you know, paths, you know, cross paths at the time that we did, and I wasn't resistant to, you know, aligning with you and connecting with you, buddy. So I appreciate you and the work that you're doing.
Yeah, thank you,
You
brother.
know, it's wonderful.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Fantastic. So yeah, I think this does it for us.
Cool. All right, brother. Peace and
Love you,
blessings,
man.
everyone. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll see you soon, brother.
All right. Bye-bye.